We were building these huge parks for multinational companies and, these large enterprises. And they were also spending so much in the fit outs and how the office experience was that no one was contributing or no one was building anything for the small and, small startups and, small businesses. And this was also when Bangalore startup scene was about to explode or was exploding. I mean, Flipkart had just raised the 16 billion round. It was,
What year was this?
2014, 2015, yeah, around then. And so the idea of actually having small space in our larger parks for smaller businesses. My original thought process was like equity for space. That was, the original idea, like a version of an incubator. And then as I was researching and I was, making this huge pitch, like a management pitch to the presentation about this new business that we should look at, WeWork came up a lot when I was, doing a lot of the research. I mean, it was still in the US. They hadn't expanded globally yet. But the concept, the way that WeWork had stacked everything together, which was, design, technology, and like this community layer and this infrastructure, the network for startups was, something that was like exactly like as I was sort of like envisaging it. And coincidentally, this around the same time, few early investors of WeWork actually came to India, and they started scouting for partners because WeWork was looking to expand globally. And these guys had worked in India before, so they felt like WeWork and India would really do well over here. And that's how we ended up going to New York for like a completely separate trip to meet with Blackstone. And we entered a WeWork, and that was like a life-changing light bulb moment.
That was WeWork peak in the US?
No, it was, I mean...
Post-turmoil?
No, much before. This was... Again, they had only a few offices in New York and one office in London, one office in Amsterdam. They were still valued at like 10 billion, which was crazy. But it was only post us, having that meeting when it really got absolutely crazy. So we went there, we met Adam, we spent about a year and a half almost trying to figure out partnership, because earlier WeWork was actually trying to have multiple partners in India. They were looking at DLF, they were looking at Rahejas, they were looking at us, RMZ. So they were really like exploring, and we kind of said that, look, if you want multiple partners, I don't think we're the people, because this won't work in India with multiple developers as partners. So we started working on our own brand. And that it sort of evolved. They didn't get along with DLF. They didn't get along with, Rahejas, or they were much more conservative in the thought process. And Adam was, obviously on this crazy mission. So we went back to them, but the deal was still not happening. We weren't able to agree on terms. Adam was already valuing the business at like 2 billion before us even putting a brick or like a billion in. A building in, and so we weren't actually getting there. And then finally we realized that his priority, or WeWork's priority, was more China and more Europe than it was India. That's how we kind of proposed that, look, we'll take the brand, give us the ability to use the brand, and we'll invest our capital.
How big is WeWork now?
Globally?
India? Your WeWork?
India, we operate almost like 8 million square foot. We just opened our 60th location last week.
And how many people is that?
It's about a capacity of about 95,000 desks. We have close to about 72,000 members now.
And occupancy on average?
Occupancy right now is probably around like between 75 to 80. But we've added also a lot of capacity in the last few months.
And is this part of Embassy? Is Embassy the holding company?
Yeah. So Embassy is still the
JV
largest shareholder.
Right.
We started off owning 100% of it, and we've also invested pretty much all of our own capital until 2020, where WeWork put in some money. They put in about $100 million, so they own about 27% of the business.
Is there a standardized number that you spend on square feet after leasing a property?
Yeah, so we spend, and we're in the mid to premium segment of the market, so we spend close to...
You are the most premium, I think.
There are more premium players. I mean,
But small ones.
Smaller. The executive center, as an example, is maybe...
But you're on
more
average
premium.
15,000 rupees a seat?
We are closer to 20.
Yeah,
No,
that's
but
premium.
your spend per capex, I remember when they came in, everybody's like, oh my God, they spend X amount per square
we
foot
got
for
it
the fit-outs.
much more efficient. We
But-
spend close to about $2,500 a square
Now.
foot, $2,800 depending on the location.
Initially, when you came, it was all 4,000, 5,000.
Yeah, but there, I think the first two locations we were trying to replicate what was being built in other parts of the world, and then we localized the supply chain. We understood how to localize the product, but in terms of quality of the space, I would say that we're as good, or if not better, than any other location in the world. So the delta arbitrage of the experience that you get here versus what you get outside maybe of a WeWork is just so massive, which is what I think is driving a lot of the stickiness and also the demand for our spaces. When you look at it in terms of from a multinational spend standpoint, India is still pretty much like $1 rentals. They've been $1 rentals for the last 20 years. So the cost arbitrage and being able to get a space like ours, they're willing to pay a premium.